Psychology. We all have some idea as to what it is, whether your view regarding it is negative or positive. While there are various fields of psychology, there is one that is quite different from the others. I introduce to you positive psychology. Now, you may ask yourself, what is positive psychology and how is it any different? Positive psychology is essentially the science of what makes life worth living. It was founded by Martin Seligman, former president of the American Psychological Association. It began in the late 1990s when Seligman thought that the state of modern psychology wasn't good enough, as it focused on finding out what was wrong with individuals instead of ways to make individuals happy. In Seligman's words, positive psychology has three aims. 1. That psychology should be as concerned with building strengths as it is with repairing damages and identifying weaknesses. 2. That it should place importance on virtues and the best things in life. And 3. That it should aim to make people's lives fulfilling through acknowledging talents that are already present. Unlike the aims of traditional psychology in trying to figure out what was wrong with people, these aims all gave rise to success in individuals and communities, enabling them to be happy and leading them to flourish. Some of the core topics include happiness, resiliency, well-being, and states of flow and engagement. Through most of time, psychology tried to identify any problems in humans and fix them. It focused on decreasing any negative behaviors and emotions, fixing damages, but mainly ignored any positivity. Positive psychology, on the other hand, wanted to bring out the strengths that were already in individuals. Based on science, it helped people realize what made life worth living, causing a rise in happiness. Instead of the traditional psychological approach of identifying distress, disorder, and dysfunction, positive psychology focused on enhancing individuals' well-being, health, and optimal functioning. The studies in positive psychology tried to look at and understand human experience differently. It looked at these strengths, virtues, and positive states and linked them to important outcomes in life. Recent developments thought that psychological problems should be viewed through the absence and opposites of these certain aspects rather than purely classifying them as only mental illness. Both the scientific and academic communities, as well as the non-academic communities, agree upon positive psychology's placement of viewing health, well-being, strengths, virtues, talent, and achievement on an equal level to viewing illness, distress, and dysfunction when it comes to psychological problems. This caused a rise in the study of positive psychology in recent years. As it was a newer field and lacked research, positive psychology was concerned with figuring out certain traits that pertained and were of relevance. Researchers had to figure out a common vocabulary to associate with positive psychology. In 2004, positive psychology found an alternative to the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, otherwise known as the DSM, which was the common language used in traditional psychology. Instead of the DSM, positive psychology implemented the Values in Action classification, also known as the VIA. Martin Seligman, along with Chris Peterson, came up with the VIA. The two psychologists studied different cultures around the world to find common virtues that were present when measuring character and traits of individuals and communities. Seligman and Peterson found 6 virtues present throughout different cultures through time: courage, justice, humanity, temperance, transcendence, and wisdom. Rather than looking at disorders like the DSM did, they sought to discover positive traits that people already had that could be built upon. The VIA is a tool that people can use to identify their own character strengths and see what they can do on their own to take advantage of these strengths and better themselves. It is made up of 240 questions that ask participants how much the statement applies to themselves. These statements each measure different character strengths in individuals. For example, the strength of hope is measured through a statement such as, "I know that I will succeed when it comes to the goals that I set for myself," whereas the strength of gratitude is measured through a statement like, "I really should stop and count my blessings more often." In the United States, the most positively viewed strengths included kindness, fairness, honesty, gratitude, and judgment. Whereas worldwide, the strengths that were most associated with a positive life outcome were hope, zest, gratitude, and love. These were all called strengths of the heart. There are 3 key strengths in positive psychology: forgiveness, gratitude, and humility. Forgiveness is extremely important, as it is what gives rise to having healthy, long-term relationships with others, whether it be with a significant other, a community, or family members. Happy relationships benefit individuals and communities in many positive ways. Instead of giving way to hate, resentment, and guilt, forgiveness can help an individual reach peace, be it with others, within themselves, or even with God. Forgiveness is a two-way street, as it gives rise to healing. It is the fundamental basis for building healthy relationships, as without it, relationships can become irreversibly damaged. Forgiveness prevents this issue from arising. When it comes to less severe circumstances, if a victim can forgive the person who did wrong to them, the relationship could be restored or help the victim let go of negative thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Forgiveness is an incredibly powerful process, and on a larger scale, could be what is needed to achieve world peace. But on a more minor scale, studies show that self-forgiveness was associated with lessening anxiety and depression, as it helped cope with stress and led to closeness to God. Forgiveness was also associated with higher levels of interpersonal functioning, greater social support, and good health. Overall, almost always forgiveness was linked to higher levels of happiness. Next, gratitude. Gratitude is the feeling of being thankful for something and wanting to show this appreciation, whether by doing something in return for someone or simply showing them through emotion. The reason gratitude is important is not only because it helps us as individuals feel happy, but because it helps us want to do good for others, helping them feel good about themselves as well. By showing and sharing gratitude, multiple people can feel better about themselves, which is what positive psychology aims to do. In research, gratitude is found to be associated with different qualities, such as empathy, forgiveness, and a willingness to help other people. In the VIA, people who rated themselves as gratuitous tend to have other socially beneficial characteristics. Showing gratitude for what you have in life elevates happiness. Being aware that a positive experience is about to end increases feelings of gratitude and gratefulness. Lastly, we have humility. Humility has been considered as a virtue or character strength. In psychology, there is no direct definition, but it involves the idea of an accurate sense of one's abilities and achievements, acknowledging your own mistakes and flaws, being open to new ideas, and being aware that many other people and things make the world what it is today. Now for the opposite of humility. To give an example of what humility is not, a certain someone once said, "Show me someone without an ego, and I'll show you a loser." Often in the media and in society, egotistical people garner attention and make the news, and apparently in some instances, become president. When it comes to being humble, we can't really make judgment on ourselves, as saying "I'm very humble" is a contradiction. Some examples of humble thinking would be honestly acknowledging that one has certain difficulties and can improve, or acknowledging that one knows what they do well and what they don't do well. Humility is often viewed as a positive trait, and humble people tend to be more likable and approachable than those who are not. Positive psychology is a rising field that is continually gaining popularity for good reason. Understanding what makes us feel good often gives rise to living a prosperous, long, healthy, and happy life. By applying positive psychology to different areas, be it schools or workplaces, challenges can be faced in a more optimal way. The rise of positive psychology in the future can lead to many good things, and ultimately help many people realize that they have potential within them and are worthy of happiness.